Good morning and welcome to day 2. This morning we're going mustering, and I get to live a bit of a dream of pretending I'm a ringer for the next hour with all of you, because technology is changing the way that we muster. And the next person we've got is probably one of my favourite people to introduce. I promise I'm not lying in this introduction, but I first came across Luke Chaplain in 2014. I was at Marcus Oldham. Luke had just come down, I think it was the Marcus races. He had been travelling America riding bucking broncos. He decided that he quite liked Marcus Oldham and he thought he'd better get an education. So a few years later, he enrolled at Marcus Oldham, but instead of taking the traditional pathway of looking for a scholarship or something like that, Luke decided that he'd use his skills, and on weekends he'd go and travel across to different rodeos across Victoria, New South Wales and South Australia, often winning them, and it actually paid his way through university, which is a hell of a feat. Since then, he's obviously no stranger to the cowboy way of life. He spent a lot of time through Northern Queensland and Northern Australia, but he's always had this affinity for doing things a little bit differently. Amongst his resume, alongside his sister, he's also directed a movie about a bank heist, and he'll kill me if I don't say this, but he's always looking for the next idea. So if anyone has movie ideas or anything like that, please take the opportunity to chat to Luke after this. But Luke, he's looking for money. Luke, if you want to come up, mate. Today we've obviously got this set up. We're doing a world first. There are a few regulations. Here we go.
G'day, mate. How are you? I'm turning my things on.
No.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello. That's all right. Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I think the rodeo thing, it's funny because it's like I'm a little bit prone to doing high-risk activities. Like, what are we doing today anyway? What could go wrong?
Doing things live, working with animals. The only thing we don't have is children involved.
That's it. But actually, so this is happening on my sister's property, and her little baby niece is there. So
there we go.
Kids
okay.
involved. Yep.
We've got the whole thing happening.
Yep.
Now, mate, we're inside, so you can probably take the hat off.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Thank you.
Good. Yep.
And
it was actually his idea a couple of days ago. I'll come on with that. And then do you have a radio pouch, and I can be like living the ringer's dream? And then 5 minutes ago, he pulls out. I'm wearing the hat.
Yeah, I'll do it afterwards. Mate, I'm going to give you a latte.
Thank you.
Thank you. Toolbox chats have got a little bit different. So this morning...
It's water.
This morning, what have we got? What's actually happening? What's the agenda today, boss?
Ooh. Okay. So basically what we're doing is showcasing sort of cutting edge drone technology. So for people in the room who haven't heard, there's these drone dock solutions, drone in a box solutions, which basically via the internet you can control manually. So today I'll be pressing forward on the drone. It'll go via the internet to a server in China. All the DJI servers are still in China, via Starlink, back to the box south of Toowoomba, and then through a radio frequency, it talks to the drone to move forward. So all happening in milliseconds, very low latency, but if something goes a bit wrong, I've now told you all that process.
So there's not much that could go wrong, really?
No, absolutely not. It's
perfect.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm glad you're sitting here. Talk to me, obviously, so there's a few regulations. As we said, it's world first. So this technology is applicable across the mining industry, life-saving industry, and obviously now in agriculture. But talk to me today about some of the regulations and why we've got this set up, and then what's actually happening 300 kilometres away south of Toowoomba.
Well, yeah, I think it's great that you mentioned that, the mining industry is sort of pioneering this for sort of inspections, and it's usually through sort of waypoint missions. The mission's reasonably automated, but it's not full autonomy because you have people in the Brizzy office here monitoring the drone, monitoring the system. So it then becomes either extended visual line of sight or beyond visual line of sight. So obviously you can operate these drones out of a box fully remotely from a remote operations centre. So SkyKelpie was the first one in Australia in preparation for this event to get a mobile remote operations centre. So basically meaning I can set up anywhere, including at a conference, as long as the environmental conditions are right. I've got backup internet, backup power. I've got a crowd control friend here. Thank you, Lindsay. She's brought her aviators, actually. There she is. And this will be running as extended visual line of sight, because I won't get too deep into the regulations. There's potentially a CASA inspector here. Thank you very much for attending. But to be able to fly this beyond visual line of sight, so the drone is completely there and I'm, as the remote pilot, operating it, I will need an instrument specific to the site and a fair bit of other sort of permits and regulation. What we are doing today is an extended visual line of sight operation. So with EVLOS, another acronym, I can actually have that box, put it on all sorts of different locations all around Australia. I just need an observer there. So today we actually have Jared, and then he's brought his colleague Mark along with him. So Jared is there to control or to monitor the ground and air risk. So basically, I've also got flight radar, and I've got, you know, the satellite imagery and all that to monitor that as well. And I would definitely need that if it was beyond visual line of sight and no one is on site. But Jared is there. He actually can't take over control of the drone. He's really just my eyes on the ground, and I will be talking to him through my noise cancelling headphones.
Perfect. And so we do need to say, we're, in all seriousness, like, no one is to, not that you're going to do it anyway, no one wants to get on stage. You're not actually allowed to walk up. We will have people at the front who are going to be watching the crowd, and that's legitimately part of CASA regulation in order to do this here today. Similar to that, I won't be talking to you. We're giving you 15, 20 minutes to control this. You're going to talk us through what's happening, and then we'll have time for questions afterwards.
Yeah, and part of my sort of certification for this is I'm not really talking to the crowd. I'll be talking to my observer, but I will be telling Jared what I'm doing. And then if you guys hear that, that's great. But I think today it's really just, you know, it's cool that we can control this remotely. You know, animals do move off the pressure of a drone. When we talk about drone mustering, SkyKelpie is all about, you know, low stress stock handling, animal husbandry, and how we do the best form of stockmanship. So, you know, herding animals, you know, have a flight zone, and when we put some pressure, whether it's a motorbike, a helicopter, or a drone, they like to move away from that pressure. And it's how we keep them light and responsive to the drone, such as pressure release. When we're getting some movement, we will release that pressure while still keeping it engaged. I can chat through a little bit of that as well. But we're just going to move a few cows around. We might check a dam. We can also drop a waypoint, an annotation, if it was like a burst pipeline, poly pipe, and you actually get the GPS coordinates, and that can save to the cloud.
Perfect. Well, let's give it to you.
All right.
Let's give him a round of applause.
Oh, yeah. Well, not yet. Not yet. All right. Thank you.
Have fun.
G'day, Jared. You can hear me loud and clear? Perfect. Everything looks looking good on your end. I've just got a latte here from Oli that's actually not even a latte. It's a glass of water, but that's all right. The crowd won't know that. That's perfect. I'm going to launch the task here. And we are going to, so we've just got a view here, or I've got a view of the virtual cockpit. Yeah, I'm just doing a refresh here of the live stream. There's Jared. If you give us a wave, Jared, there he is. Thank you very much. Do a little dance. No, you'll be right. Doc's alive and well. Perfect. So I'm just talking to Jared now. I've just got that geofence around our operational area. So for me, it's a sort of a green, a green line. The drone will not be able to move out of that area. And then the blue paddock is basically, I've just drawn paddock boundaries. So I can refer to the satellite map and work out exactly where the drone is and where it's facing at all times. Okay, we got launch here. Yep, that's cool. Perfect, I'm just going to take manual control there. All right, so I've actually got some visuals pretty quickly on the cattle. Yeah, that's perfect. No problem. All right, so I'll just get over here. Yeah, when we're mustering, obviously, when we want to come up to the animals, we want to be sort of, you know, in the right position when we're actually engaging that pressure. So we'll just go a little bit wide here, and I'll just do a little bit of a scout at the back of the paddock just to see if anything's hanging back there. Just checking that visually everything's looking good weather-wise on your end, Jared, and I've got flight radar up here. Looks like a bit of a very small aircraft to the west, but you can't hear or see anything. Copy that. Just going to obtain payload control. All right, so we're pretty clear that we've got a fair sort of a mob over here. So what's really handy, and obviously, Jared, I fly usually, you know, at location, just like a lot of our other customers at SkyKelpie. We now have over 300,000 head of livestock being mustered by drones from SkyKelpie. But the zoom camera is really handy. So, you know, obviously battery life is a little bit annoying. I'm the first one to want 2 hours out of these bad boys. But what you can save time in is checking country with this zoom camera. So especially, you know, if you've got a bit of open country or whatnot, you're able to just go, okay, great. I don't have to bounce over all that Mitchell, well, this is not Mitchell grass, but I don't have to bounce over all that country because we've already checked it. We use a lot of thermal cameras, obviously. This particular drone does not have the thermal payload, and it probably wouldn't be overly effective at this time of day. Just to be conscious of time, I'm not going to do a really thorough check, just because we sort of just want to get these animals moving a bit, and Oli will get angry at me if I spend too much time. But really, I think what's going to be cool is just bringing the drone down to the animals and engaging a bit of pressure. We know that there's this tree line here. These controls are obviously a little bit different for me compared to flying with a drone controller. Something that would be really handy is some sort of simulator that could actually mimic the controls in a virtual free environment. Oh wait, we've created one of them. Yeah, that's right. Startup Alley, you can have a little play of that. So what's really cool, and some of my colleagues I work with are a lot better stock handlers than me, but where we can also use the zoom, see, we can start to know when we've got the animals at least a little bit engaged, and what you'll find is those sort of lead animals will be sort of the first ones to start to move, and then they pick up the others. That's if we're sort of really wanting a bit of, you know, a very controlled movement. I think at this point, we'll just sort of get it moving a bit. Yeah. That's all good. Thanks, mate. So we'll just come down. We can probably flick onto the zoom. I actually probably won't flick onto the zoom just because these trees are here. So I kind of might just get a little bit clearer of the trees. Perfect. Yep. So a lot of, you know, obviously aerial stockmanship has been quite a popular solution since the 70s, since skilled pilots came back from Vietnam. And there's a lot of great sort of aerial stockmanship techniques. One of those is working a T. So I'll try to do that while also talking and whatnot. But working a T is pretty good because cattle and I think sheep and goats as well probably don't have the best depth perception. So working in a lateral movement, they can sort of see that pressure a little bit better. We'll just come down to them a little bit. They're just mobbing up nicely there. And then we'll just, yeah, it's all good, mate. Oh yeah, thank you. So this is where, yeah, don't have quite as much control as if I'm sort of on site. Oh, wait up, I'm talking to Jared. But, you know, we will just engage these guys and get them moving. Yeah, all good. Yep, I'll just get them started and then I'll sort of just like back off a little bit. But that's pretty good. All good, mate. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, thanks, mate. Perfect. So keeping them there, we actually like to, Jared, we like to kind of just have this pressure to the side. Because they're peripheral-sided animals, they can't see directly behind them. So if we're going to have that drone directly behind them, at times they're actually probably going to turn around completely because they want to see and know what's pressuring them. And we like to do a pressure. We like to do a release, but we don't want to completely release the pressure off them. We want to still keep engaged with the animals. Just a little bit of our server going thousands of kilometres and giving us that feed. And so we'll just put them down the fence here. I thought I'd try to be a little bit tricky and get them through the house gate. There's a few sort of distractions there and whatnot, but you know, why not? If we're going to do a world first live demo, why not try to make it a little bit tricky? That must be an old bull there, I think. Oh, I forgot to screen record. Cassie, you didn't see that? Yeah, nice. So they'll just go down a bit of a laneway and through to the yards. I think for the essence of time, we probably won't follow them all the way to the yards, but that's really perfect. Thank you. Yep, perfect. Got a little bit excited. About to start. Awesome. Well, that's our little live muster done. Yeehaw. So, thank you very much. So we can sort of see where we went here. And at all times, you guys probably saw, but I wasn't really speaking much to the satellite view, but we had a good paddock orientation there. And even if we've sort of checked this part of the paddock, we at least have known where we've covered, and then maybe we'd be heading down here just in case, I don't know, the yards were down this way. We'll now just, you know, as a bit of a, you know, let's just pretend we've flown now another, pretending this is maybe beyond visual line of sight. We've now flown another 2 kilometres because we just want to check a dam. All right? So we're going to come up here. Which way's up? Oh, that's down. And we've got a little dam here. We are maybe checking to see if those old cows are doing it pretty tough or bogged. Maybe from a little bit far away. So we just want a little zoom in and just make sure everything's looking all good there. We're going to come back to the wide camera. We're having a little fly along here. And let's just say that this tree needs spraying because it is a prickly acacia. It's definitely not. And Emily forgot to spray it. So what we're going to do is actually drop a waypoint or annotation. You'll see that it shows up here. And we'll say, need to spray. We'll make it red because it's naughty. So we've got our Got our GPS coordinates there. Probably doesn't matter the above sea level height that we actually took it, but we've created that, and we can refer back to that in the cloud software. So that's quite handy. And there's a few other things. There's laser rangefinders, and we're pretty close to having the Dock 3 come out. That'll be compatible with the Matrice 4, but I'll start talking about that when I jump off. So Jared, I'm just going to return to home. Yeah, we'll return to home now. Battery's pretty good, but I think everything feels really good. So we're just going to come home. Yeah, Emily was a bit worried that the lawn hasn't been mowed, but I said I think that's the least of my worries for today. That's for sure. So obviously we've got some power lines and whatnot, and that's just another reason why it's handy Jared is there. If we were to have a beyond visual line of sight setup, that's why it is important to have all the different instruments, permits and certifications, because me as a remote pilot would need to be aware of all that remotely. All right, I'm going to step outside the rock. Thank you, Jared. Give yourself a tip, and happy days. All right. Cheers. See ya. Bye. Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Oh, perfect. Yeah. That was easy. Oh, well, it actually ended up all right, but I was awake at 3 a.m. this morning thinking about it.
Yeah, well, they do say don't work with what children love animals and or live and animals. You do
and we're always very prepared when we do these, don't we? We saw each other for maybe one sip of a beer, and then I had to go to something, and so, but that's what it's all about.
It's incredible, like just seeing, well, I think the stockmanship that comes into it. So there's obviously the agricultural skill set, but then also this emerging technology, and it would just keep continuing to get better and better, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of evidence with having good stockmanship and good animal husbandry. You know, not only is it good ethically, but it's productively to the animals. It's just so much better for them, especially sale cattle going straight to slaughter. But just in general, obviously, even your cows and those genetics, and that mum is raising her calf. As she jumps at something, so is the calf. So that's something that we're really passionate and focused on at SkyKelpie, is good stockmanship. I'm not a tech person. I've got some really great tech team and developers, but you know, the people, the stock handlers that I'm working with, I think that's our core IP.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep.
Now, we do have a couple of microphones at the back. So if anyone does have questions, if you want to make your way, there we go, the hands are up for that. The other thing, I guess, so this isn't off-the-shelf technology per se, but it's fairly close to, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So this is, and you know, these like enterprise series of, you know, DJI, Chinese, you know, drone manufacturer, very world leading. You know, we're definitely tech agnostic in terms of the hardware that we recommend our graziers, but 100% right now is DJI for the cost and whatnot. I think, you know, probably the only slight downfall is the battery time still, and you can customize and build a drone, and it's going to be a lot more expensive, and it's going to run like a whippersnipper in the sky, and it's going to be a bit random and probably dangerous. Or you come to DJI, it has really great software and technology, and then you just, at this point, you just work around. So, okay, we're going to have multiple batteries. Okay, we're going to start the paddock. At the back of the paddock, we'll use the first battery to scout everything. Second battery may move a bit closer. That third battery, everything's coming in. And using the thermal camera, something that we've really tried to push, is moving animals in the cool of the day. Again, good for animal husbandry. And then, you know, we're breaking records at getting our mobs into the yards nice and early.
I will just touch on the DJI thing. So obviously that's a livestock application. A couple of weeks ago I was in Western Australia, and a bloke, Brad Egan, who's always looking at the latest mod cons, when I was over there a couple of weeks ago, he was using DJI technology with a bit of software to fly over his paddocks, I think at about 150, 160 metres, and he was doing a green on brown
sure he was
scan.
I'm sure he was 120 metres.
Oh, okay, 120?
No, he might
I don't know
have had the permit. He might have had the permit.
And so what he was doing, I guess, with essentially off-the-shelf technology with some other software, he was able to replicate what people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on to be able to do a select herbicide spray. I think he used 5% of the chemical, or about 10% of the chemical of what he would have used on a blanket spray. So that's remarkable.
Yeah, and they've built themselves as a platform with a software development kit that you can sort of build third-party software onto it. And that's something that we're doing with the Queensland Government and Meat and Livestock Australia, where we will be adding a image detection model to really find those animals a lot more precisely and quickly, and then have some, I'm saying, Tesla down the highway automation. We're going to have an algorithmic approach that we're actually going to create in our simulator, refit the gaming simulator a little bit, and work those T's basically roughly like I was just doing there. Test that with the market and see what other opportunities there are to go full autonomous. But when I talk about autonomy, I'm saying that as just another mustering aid, you know, and a drone I think is just another tool on the shelf. You know, don't sack your workforce, don't sell your dogs and sell your horses. I think it can be integrated really well, the drones, and it's very case by case. We have managed to pretty much eradicate helicopter mustering, but that is definitely not going to be the case for all of Australia at this point.
Totally. Yeah. First question, if you can just introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, Rob McColl from FarmLink Research here, Temora in New South Wales. Luke, looks like really good technology. I think it'll be a game changer for a lot of people. Have you done much work on counting animals in a paddock?
I haven't. There's a really cool startup called Drone Hand that is really focusing on that. So go and check Ed out. I think with that image detection technology that we will be developing for the autonomy, we should be able to do a count. We're building it onto the new Matrice 4 series, a DJI enterprise series that has just come out that has some really good onboard computing. The processor is really good on the controller and on the drone. And I think that's exciting because before that came out about a month ago, we were going to be, you know, plugging it into sort of a laptop processor to work all that out. But I think for adoption, you know, graziers just want to fire it up and for it to be working right there. So we should be able to do a bit of a count, but I'd encourage you to check out Ed as well. He's doing great stuff.
There is one other company as well, Mark Ferguson from Next Gen Agri, New Zealand company in Australia, and they were doing, I think, don't quote me, I don't really know myself, but pedigree matchmaking as well, using AI.
Yep, and Jerome at InFarm, he does good detection stuff and he knows about drones. And also, I told the Air Agri guys I was going to give them a shout out as well because we might work together. Pretty good application. Their hardware gives a little bit of through their algorithm, gives a little bit of a, you know, alert, and then out of a dock, through an API through the dock, we could actually go get visuals on what's happening there.
There you go. Next question.
Clancy Pattinson from AgriFutures Australia. Firstly, thanks, Luke. That was very awesome to see. I just had a question. Obviously, there's some very strict rules, regulations, policies for the use of this kind of technology. I just have a question about as to whether, to get your thoughts on whether that level of strict rule and regulation and policy has stifled or inhibited the level of uptake and I guess your role as a, you know, a startup or a small company in getting this technology in the hands of the right people.
Yeah, very good question. I mean, I think when we talk about the regulations, I make a joke, you know, like a lot of my customers fly under the landholder rule. Part of that is part of the excluded category. You need to keep the drone within visual line of sight. Now, graziers have very good eyesight, it turns out. And I make a joke, but I also do promote that this is aviation, and it you know, we are sharing the skies now with crewed aviation. So in short, I think where the regulations are at the moment, Clancy, they are inhibiting it, definitely. CASA, you know, quite under-resourced, but I don't blast them in the media because they are quite open and trying to work through this. I do get invited to workshops and whatnot, which is great. I think it is now up to them to try to be a bit progressive in getting compliance in rural and remote Australia, because when we look at the risk, we look at the air risk and the ground risk with regulations, and it is quite low risk in rural Australia, especially if you're staying under 400 feet crewed aviation is meant to be 500 feet or above. There is a policy in Canada that CASA have said they might be following, which is a little bit better with the beyond visual line of sight, where you'll need a license, but you'll no longer need a remote operator certificate, which is annoying, a BV loss instrument, which is annoying, and it's all, you would basically need consultants, which I did, and that's what we did in 2022 with the Queensland Government and MLA, to prove, does the solution work using a drone for mustering, but what is that process of being compliant? And it was too much. So that was a long answer.
No, thank you. A lot to it. Was there another question up the back? No questions. Here we go, one down the front here. Oh, the foot race is on.
Thank you. Job O'Regan from Narrabri High School. I was just wondering, do you guys have the ability to integrate that into having multiple drones at a time?
Yep, so swarming, swarming many to one is getting more and more. We talk about AI and AGI, and large language models could probably, I think, come into that really well. I mean, these AI agents, that there's, version 1 has been released from OpenAI. I mean, it's like, do I do this autonomy, or do I just train some agents to fly the drones remotely, So it's a good question. Obviously, we've got the drone light shows, which is an example of that. That's an algorithmic approach. So I think, what you're saying, especially for this use case, absolutely. I haven't looked too hard into it. I have done, multiple drone musters at home when, one of my mates was there, and covering, as you can expect, a lot more ground, a lot quicker, having multiple drones. So I think a swarm mustering solution is spot on.
Thank you. Hey, Joe, while you got the microphone, can I just ask, because it's bloody cool that we've got school students in here, how have you found the last couple of days? Actually, all the Narrabri High School students, can you guys stand up? How good's that?
Thank you. We've loved the opportunity, and we appreciate all of the support from everyone. Thank you.
Awesome. So if you see them in the Narrabri High School shirts, can everyone, if you get the chance, go and say good day, introduce yourself, and talk about where agriculture's at, because I know they'd love it. We'll come to Tim Gentle after. One question over here.
Hi, my name's Max, just a student at UQ, and I was just wondering whether you have the same night laws, like the VFR laws you have with the choppers, and if you have the opportunity to kind of muster early in the morning, get things around a trough before you, so you can start at daylight, if that's a potential part with the thermal and all that.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And basically, in 2022, we started that sort of early morning mustering. So I'll get up at about 4 a.m. or maybe 3:30 sometimes. And it's really great. What was really cool to discover is the livestock have quite good situational awareness at night. They say that, where's Tim? But yeah, mustering goats is a lot better and easier at night time, but we've definitely done a lot of that. So just finding them so much quicker. The same as when I spoke about the zoom, cutting a bit of time, looking at a bit of open country with the zoom. The thermal, honestly, for sometimes a bit over a kilometre, you can just see, okay, there's nothing over there, I don't have to go there. In terms of the regs to fly at full nighttime, you will need a remote operator certificate and a license to do that. So I think, some graziers out there are just, using their thermal just as it's coming light, so that's what they tell me.
Tim Gentle.
G'day, Luke. G'day, Luke. Mate, I'm a bit of a fanboy of SkyKelpie. I think you know that. You've got a room full of people. I want to help you grow. They want to help you grow. What's your ask? How can we help you grow SkyKelpie?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question because you get quite bogged, as you know, Tim, and you're doing really well, congrats. You get quite bogged down in product development and having anxiety about this and whatnot. And one of the universities yesterday said to me with the simulator, okay, how much is it? How do we get it? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. So it's a good question and I don't know. But yeah, thanks, Tim. I'm spreading the good word. Look, we're just about to, at this point, we resell drones to the operational and budget needs, and we're just about to release our online course, which really focuses on that stockmanship element, and that'll be packaged with our simulator as well. But we're really keen to enter into this whole world, like you've done really well, of gaming. And I think that we've done some really hard work. My developer Seb is here, he's amazing, and his team. We've done some pretty world-leading work on the actual algorithms of the animals in the game, and then the drone physics using Unity physics. The drone feels really good as well. So we might look at an entertainment game as well, a bit of a simulator tycoon thing, and maybe other training things.
You reckon these gamers might come across and actually become, musterers?
Well, yeah, if we've got a ranking system on our game, and then we can just offer them jobs flying remotely. And then did you want to mention Luke?
No, I'll come back. Like, I guess, taking the mickey, but potentially there's a skilled workforce out there who are gamers who literally you could plug into these types of servers down the track.
Yep, when this dock has 20 Ks flight radius and the drone will fly for 2 hours, the latency's amazing, you've got all the whatnot, the regs, we just need to think about that. Well, I've just explained. But yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's cool to think, high in the sky. What do they call it? Blue sky?
Blue sky, yeah.
Blue sky, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think right now we're just really focused on getting drones in the hands of graziers, and it's really amazing to hear the feedback about how it's helping people become more productive and safer on farm.
I love it. One question up the back.
G'day, Luke. Callan Yench here from Corteva Agri-Science. I'm a field biologist for Corteva. Really good demonstration today, and the technology is amazing when it's working well. I just wondered if you could share what fail-safes you've got in place when the gear might let you down when you're on the job, and perhaps any advice you've got for people who are using drones or thinking of using drones, and any kind of anxiety you might get when the connection drops out or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think like in this market, you wouldn't really, and I don't build the hardware, but yeah, you wouldn't really want to go to market with some hardware and technology that's kind of only just there, isn't it? So I think I've been really lucky to have the technology like DJI that just works. It is built for everyday consumers really, and the Enterprise series is you're getting a bit more serious, but in terms of usability, actually flying it and setting it up. I think technology's come such a long way. Remember 10, 15 years ago, you'd need a experienced electrician to put your internet in. But now you get the Starlink in 3 pieces, plug it in and it works. Pretty similar with DJI. They make you tick a lot of terms and conditions. Like, I don't know what all that is, but...
yes, you do, of course.
Yeah, because I read that. Yeah. But so to answer your question, there are little bits and bobs that show up. There's a little bit of anxiety, what if I crash it? And probably the thing that gets people over the line, DJI themselves have some really good affordable insurance. You can have like 2 replacements a year with a small excess. So it works quite well. But I think it's a good question, with our training products and stuff, just making sure that works is probably important.
Honesty moment. How many have you crashed?
I crashed one into a bloodwood tree. That was the Matrice 30, and it was so precise to find my drone that I was like, I couldn't find it, and I parked on top of it, so I smashed it even more. Haven't had any birds. Yeah, my Matrice 3, my Mavic 3 kind of just fell out of the sky.
There's been a few.
Yeah, but 3.
Ah, that's all right.
So, and also, as a bit of a fail-safe, maybe if you're starting to rely on drones, which we kind of do at home now, having that maybe just $1,000, $2,000 little Air 3 on the shelf as a backup, maybe.
Last question over here.
Hi guys, my name is Claire and I'm from the Queensland Innovation Advisory Council. An amazing member of Advanced Queensland mentioned that you're also working with people with disabilities to be able to access the agricultural workforce. Yeah. And I confess I've got a personal motivation. My young son is 12 and has cerebral palsy and a few others, but he is the most enthusiastic future farmer. Yeah. So I was just wondering if you could tell us a bit about disability access and future job opportunities?
Yeah, well, a shout out to Evoke and AgriFutures. I met Josie Clark, founder and managing director of Ability Agriculture, 2 years at Adelaide, and she had a really inspiring story. If you don't know about Ability Ag, please look them up. And I sort of beeline for her, and I was like, I think we could do some stuff with drones. So we've been working together for a couple of years now, and by the time we got ourselves organised, we finally did our first workshop down at Kempsey in about September last year, which was a huge success. And then I got a little bit of money from some award in Queensland. Oh, thank you, Emerging Ministers Leader. But anyway, I'm just like downplaying. Anyway, and I was like, let's repurpose this into something good. So that was the birth of the SkyKelpie Scholarship in collaboration with Ability Agriculture. And I'd like to work with, another inspiring organisation each year. The winner of that was Luke O'Sullivan from Collinsville. And Luke had a road accident a couple of years ago and is living in a wheelchair. But what really got him over the line in the interview stage is he is just so willing to really put it out there about what is able to be done. And I think he's, really keen to inspire others. What I will say to the room and all of Evoke is it really didn't, and maybe I'm just lucky, but it really wasn't much of an effort to cater for someone like Luke or other people living with disabilities. We've got some really great accessibility features on Apple, on Android. You've got the switch control. We can look at 3D printing for remote controls. There's a lot we can do, and that's a good segue into something like this will be perfect for Luke, because Luke has a little bit of difficulty regulating his temperature, so he can't really be going outside. He's got a really cool buggy that he's retrofitted, but he is needing to spend time in the middle of the day. So we're looking at getting him his license, getting a REOC, getting a setup, and he's going to have a remote operations centre, so it's exciting. Yeah.
I think, thank you so much for that question. And yeah, you nailed it, because I think, tying in Tim's question, what can the industry do for you? I think it's literally take the chance, go and ask you what we can do. Do you find out what are your challenges, what are your problems, like what are you working through? Because this has real world applications. You are seeing that obviously with Luke. If there's ways that people in this room could even potentially help with that, what that looks like, I guess, we don't understand.
And I think with, labour shortages and whatnot, we do have a community of people who, have, Luke's only a young fella, but he grew up on a property and he's got stockmanship knowledge. So like all that knowledge and experiences is there. That's a whole untapped workforce that we don't have to do a whole lot to cater for, I think, maybe.
Beautiful. Well, Luke Chaplain, a superstar of evokeAG.